Good day and welcome to our webinar, The Fat Burner for Your SAP Rules, SAST Self-Adjusting Authorizations. Thank you, RENK AG, who has tested this out already. Today, this webinar is brought to you by my valued colleague Axel Daldorf. My name is Tim Krensky. Axel, it's your stage now.
Thank you very much, Tim, for your introduction, and you're also a valued colleague.
Thanks a lot.
So what about the company RENK, our valued customer? They came up to us with a question regarding self-adjusting authorization and reducing and slimline the existing roles and SAP authorizations. And we sat together and our development team, we are just able to roll out a new module, which is called SAST Self-Adjusting Authorization. RENK is a very interesting company. They are headquartered in the south of Germany, in Augsburg. They are part of the big organization of Volkswagen, and what they are doing, they are creating high quality gears and drive technologies for shipping, oil, gas, power generation, and all the stuff around. And our contact at RENK was the senior manager digitalization. He has at least 2.5 years before he retires, and this is his aim and target to set up a specific process to reduce the active and existing authorizations inside their SAP system. So the challenge at RENK was very difficult. So you see 3 persons and 3 different organizations, the public accountant and the ISO 20070 auditor, and of course the internal corporate auditing. They have all just one aim: to get the number of SAP authorizations be declared, explained, and documented in many of these files. You will see with this files has at least hundreds of papers, and you see the countless victim of paper waste is, of course, a tree. Some more details: for each year they have at least one big file within hundreds of lists for all organizations they have, for all managers within their employees at this stage. And they had to set up different activities, and that costs a lot of money and, of course, a lot of time. So even each year in the end of the first quarter, they are starting up to declare their SAP authorizations, and they have to adjust reports, start the reports, print the data and all the stuff around, to sort them and to fill in, and to have discussions at least with each corporate member, and also for the supervisor for the SAP modules, and of course for the management team who is responsible for this organizational unit. So in some difficulties at this stages was we have at least many informations to transport this information from the SAP module, and you know that the reporting functionalities inside the SAP module within the SAP authorization is really limited, just only a few reports. You have to create your own ABAP reports or SQL statements to make sure that you will have this kind of list you would like to have and would like to deploy to other people. So the SAP authorization admin starts these reports again and again and sort it again and again, the printed data, and send them to the manager, have discussions and of course, when they have some changes, this desired changes has to be set it up and must be transported. And after this new report has to be regenerated and reprinted again, and to make sure that all the managers and organization unit members are countersigning this documentation. So the aim was the consistent digitalization. So you see some figures about this efforts they will have at least. So we see total per year up to 500 hours for this complete process. So what they are looking for at this stage, there's no need to discuss very closely with the organization units and the personalities are involved in this process. You just see what the end user is still using within the SAP activities, and which kind of modules he's used, which kind of transaction he is often used, seldom used, that he has all this information inside the system, and you can develop and estimate the figures of the used and statistics, used transaction and all the statistics. So you see some more information about self-adjusting authorizations are compliant, of course, for auditors, for the security auditors, and also for the internal revision. Even if they are running fully automated and no one-time expenses are necessary, and the administration costs for this ongoing process to reduce, to resolve the issues and problems at this stage will be reduced within this full automated process. A major issue at this point, you have no user interactive interviews and reports and all this stuff around. So you see what the end user is still using inside the SAP system, and then on this base, you are able to set up a specific process that only those used transactions will be used in future. Things around the additional results will be at least, of course, the license and cost optimization, and of course, safety optimization, and you will reduce the processes and the activities and the time frame for these processes. So reduction of SAP roles almost by itself. So it's a little bit SAST logic and magic abound and behind at this stage. And we'll receive a specific award on a big IT security fair in Nuremberg.
Yeah, but of course, this 50 plus audience understood what the problem is about, and they discovered it themselves, working in audits every year and whatever, having this in companies and see what kind of stress this is. And many were nodding their head and smiling and saying, hey guys, this is it.
So the next step will be a little bit more technical, that we see the challenges we are looking and facing in front. So we have at least the optimization of the SAP authorization must run regularly and always mandatory for every company. But you know that this is a process everybody looks to have this one, but everybody fears about this process, and to have discussions with the end user and have discussions with the management team and all this stuff around. So this is a part. There will be many people a little bit avoiding this process because there are many discussions will arouse at this stage, and the result will be never change a running system. So you won't have any regulation and deregulation at this stage. And also the IT business and IT department is claiming about what is the real need for a financial user or for materials master user in their daily business. So they know they have at least hundreds of transactions inside their roles and their activities, and have at least some favorites inside their desktop. But this IT department can't estimate what is really necessary and what's very seldom used at this stage. What we see in the past, that authorizations will be generously leaded and assigned to many organization and team member of inside the SAP organization. So we have at least really sensitive authorizations will be assigned. So we have, of course, a real high potential for segregation of duty conflicts. And due to the number of authorizations, the concept is really not transparent, not maintainable at this stage. And another side effect of this one, you will have at least some spendings and for this cost of SAP licenses. So even if a worker has too much transactions, and you can reduce them very seriously and to a minimum that he's just only using 5 or 6 transactions, then he will be nothing more than an employee self-service or manager self-service. So you don't have unnecessary costs for full SAP license or for worker license.
And this is because of the mechanism that you can provide everyone with every authorization you like, but try to put away just a single one, then you have a problem.
Getting all the stuff like SAP all, it's very easy to port this user within this information, but to reduce the number of transactions, it's always a big discussion at this stage. So what we are just provide the analyst capabilities in regards to the transaction actually used. We just create some SAST logic and magic behind that we are encounter all this information and make sure that this detailed information will be available for the management and all for the administration desk to make decisions or to take decisions and to reduce the number of transactions inside the role. So we have at least an example from the everyday life. So we have an employee, Torsten. He's a specialist in logistics, and he switched from scheduling to purchasing department. And of course, he has to support his old job for at least 3 months. So we will have at least different activities at this stage. So he has a logistics specialist, and he will be inside the purchasing order team for the standard parts. So at least he has 2 jobs in one person. So he had at least 2 different authorizations for different jobs. And this will be great problem for segregation of duty issues. So when you look in the past, even we have the situation, this number of authorizations will increase dramatically when you're just moving your career inside one organization. So you start within a specific role, a specific job, then you will enlarge your activities and will be empowered by your management to move to another position. Then you will have at least additional information, additional SAP authorizations within the old ones will still remain in the system. So where I want to show the complete process for this self-adjusting authorizations. So we have a small example. We have a role accounting within 10 transactions, and we figure out during an evaluation phase of 3 or more months, some transactions were never called, some transactions were seldom called, and of course, maybe this never called are including in critical transaction. Then you have an evaluation for this one and you get a specific result of this role usage. We have at least 3 transactions that are very often used. We have rarely and was seldom used transaction. And we have at least critical transaction number 10 is never used. That's fine for us and fine for the SOD conflicts. And of course, transaction 9 is also never used. So you see the percentage of this will be a result of the SAP standard transactions and standard statistics. We are just encountering all this information for this 3 or more months evaluation period. So the outcome of this evaluation will be that we have at least green, yellow, and red transactions, and these transactions will be handled different. So green will stay in the role definition, and the yellow will be also hold in the authorization, but will be separate monitored. And this red one, the never used transaction, will be removed by the administrator. All this information will be handed over to a self-adjusting authorization, and the process, this rarely used transaction are locked in the role for this user. And the transaction never used was removed from the administrator. So the process is that for standard activity for this user, for this first 3 transaction he often uses, this will be remaining and staying in the role. And for this rarely used and locked in the role, we just define a specific workflow that the user is in the productive system on the fly can ask for this transaction 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. So this is the complete process. You see the red ones, the green ones, and even if he's just using a still blocked transaction, the administrator will be informed directly, and within this permanent or temporary approval of this transaction, the end user can work directly in the productive system again and can start his activities as used and as promised. So at least we have some exception rules inside our tool for emergency users, support, or special activities which are put in black or white lists. So another big point is that we see carrying out this example, you are reducing the number of transactions directly from 10 used transaction inside the role, and we have at least 3 often used transaction and 4 or 5 seldom used transactions. So we're just reducing the number of transactions, and the role looks like more transparent. At least critical transaction, you see in this small example, we just identified one critical authorization, which is never used, so it will be removed directly, and that will be that the SOD conflicts or usage of critical transaction will be reduced. And of course, for the future S/4HANA migration, we are just able to make sure that we are just working with only all the used transactions inside a specific role, that we are just can skip out the complete mess from the history and carry on all this unused transaction again and again. And for this migration activities, we are just reducing the number of transactions dramatically. And this is what RENK also monitored, that the number of used transaction is still up to 5 or 10, 15% at this stage. So the roles will be tailored as slim as possible to the concrete uses. So we have no impairment of operations and transparent roles without unwanted side effects. So we're just clear that we have a clear concept without any long discussions, long test periods, and exhausting activities in discussions with end users and organizations. So the advantages, at one sentence: 90% cost saving on the authorization projects. So the role development of the basic of concrete use is still ongoing on the concrete usage analysis of this one. Can reduce the number of resources for the automatic optimization with the need for coordinating, and less potential for SOD conflicts. Improved security by better transparency, so number of transactions inside one role will be reduced. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, the side effect to reduce your SAP license cost will be a big impact, what is also discovered by RENK. So you see, without impacts on your day-to-day business, that's a very, very important message. So you don't have to invest time for a specific test environment, for a specific test scenario. You mustn't copy your productive system into this test scenario. The end users mustn't spend any time for test usage scenarios. So just working inside the productive system within their daily business, and the results will be shown directly for the IT administrator and SAP authorization team, and they can reduce the number of transactions while the end user is still doing his daily business. We wish you a nice day and have a pleasant day. For any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. You see my telephone number, my email address, and also we are just happy to see you on our pages. Thank you very much and take care. Bye.